Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Budget Witch, and today we're actually going to discuss something that's had the internet in an uproar, especially in the witch and pagan community, and that is the fact that Sephora recently said that it was going to start selling starter witch kits. And this was something that was very short-lived, but we're going to discuss why it was probably a very bad idea and the reason why it stopped production. So while it's not something that's new, this came out on August 31st that Sephora was going to start selling starter witch kits in October. And these witch kits contained tarot cards, a rose quartz crystal, white sage, along with fragrances in order to, I guess, create beauty rituals. And it sparked a massive amount of controversy in the pagan and witch community. Then, not very soon after, and we're talking as soon as September 5th, so just as soon as yesterday, Pinrose, who had made the kit and was going to sell it at Sephora, made a note saying, "First and foremost, to those who have shared their disappointment or taken offense to this product, we apologize profoundly. This was not our intent. We thank you for communicating with us and expressing your feelings. We hear you. We will not be manufacturing or making this product available for sale. Our intention for this product was to create something that celebrates wellness, personal ceremony, and intention setting with a focus on using fragrance as a beauty ritual." Also, there was an FAQ about some frequently asked questions, which we'll go into because it kind of concerns why people thought that this product was going to be a terrible, terrible idea. So if you want to get technical about what went wrong with this starter witch kit, well, I guess the best place to begin is that a lot of people practice witchcraft as a religion. So representation of witchcraft, or Wicca, I guess, if it is practiced as a religion by that person, the representation is actually very important. A lot of time when you buy witch kits or ritual kits, they at least come with some sort of text explaining what witchcraft is, what it's used for, and that's not to say that this kit wouldn't include a pamphlet, but there was no way of knowing whether it was accurately being represented in the way that it was supposed to be, as a natural sort of thing, that magic has always existed in the world, and that it's one of the oldest practices, and people really wanted to keep with history, and they wanted it to be educational if it did come out. But the way it was being presented was as more of an aesthetic. It was being presented as more of something that was trendy and cool. And so people felt like it wasn't being represented the right way, and that it was more or less just going to be the cool thing to do. Now, the rebuttal in this is that it was giving witches exposure, and it was trying to normalize witchcraft, which is something that we all kind of want inherently, because there are so many people still locked in the broom closet. So this would be a good thing, but at the same time, if it was going to normalize it, people want it to be normalized in a way that is accurately represented so that people understand it. There was going to be a lot of controversy with parents not understanding anything about witchcraft, especially if this kit didn't come with a pamphlet explaining what it was, and it basically would just cause more harm than good, especially when it came to those trying to come out of the broom closet. Another thing is the white sage. And while white sage is not endangered, which is a common misconception, while white sage is not endangered, it is on the watch list. Basically, the harvesting and growing of sage is being monitored in a way, because it is at a level to where it could become endangered in the future. And unfortunately, big companies that mass produce these things oftentimes don't really take into consideration mass harvesting and how it could actually hurt the plants. Not only that, but some people called it cultural appropriation. They said that white sage only belongs to Native American practices, and this is something that a lot of witches are on the fence about. So a lot of people consider white sage and smudging to be a cultural thing, and that if you're not Native American, that's actually very insulting. So, me personally, I don't find it insulting. I know that there's a lot more people that use white sage than just Native Americans, but at the same time, there are those that say it's cultural appropriation. Native Americans had backlash against the kit, saying that they've only been able to practice their culture and religion for the last 40 years, and that now Sephora is making a profit off of that, and so they found it insulting as well. There were also suspicions that the rose quartz will be a low-quality crystal, or it'll just be a fake. Unfortunately, a lot of witches on a budget, or a lot of new witches, baby witches, they go to places like Wish, Wish.com, or those like really cheap retail sites where you can get a $50 item for $10. They tend to go there and they tend to buy their crystals and their cards, and usually what ends up happening is these cards and these crystals, they're fake. And it's really not that hard to fake a crystal. Now, unfortunately, witches do tend to believe that crystals and such have massive amounts of power. And if these crystals are fake, you're not going to get exactly the desired result that you want from these crystals. And it more or less just points out that this kit could actually be a really big scam. Another issue that people had with this kit was actually the cards. They weren't really clear about who the artist was. It was not properly credited whenever the kit was first announced. And people are very, very strict about crediting an artist so that people can follow their work, pay for their work. I mean, art theft has been something that people have been cracking down on lately, which is good. But people weren't really sure who the artist was, and when they tracked down the artist, they found that there was a lot of people using this design, and they worried that this had been a case of art theft, like with Taylor Swift and the Fox on her album. So this was one of those things where they were yelling at Pinrose saying, hey, did you pay this artist? Hey, who is the artist? Like, who's the original? Where'd you buy this from? And Pinrose did say in a statement that they did acquire the art. They did pay for it as far back as June. So, and they did credit the artist, whom I forget who that is at the moment. But another issue is that there is a copyrighted prince symbol on the tarot cards, which is just a minor detail, but again, it's almost as if Pinrose was just looking to get sued by someone because of just all the risks that they are taking here. The last problem, well, actually the second to last issue with this kit was that the fragrances that they used. The thing is like usually the way I practice, witchcraft and such, is that I generally use oils or infused waters. These oils, they're not flammable, they're usually not they're not an irritant to the skin for the most part, unless you're allergic to something in them. They're safer for the skin, they're safer for practice, and they just make more sense. They don't smell as strongly. But what they're including is they're including fragrances, which I assume are pretty much perfumes in this kit. Now, the only issue I see with this is that 1, it's going to create a very heavy smell. 2, it could cause irritation to the skin. And 3, they included white sage, which you burn. And for those that don't practice good fire safety, these fragrances are generally flammable. So I could see that this was going to be a very bad time if someone's doing a beauty ritual, spills a bunch of fragrance on their carpet, starts using the smudge stick, and then an ember falls on this, and then you've got yourself a house fire, or you got a person on fire, which is just, it's terrible. So I saw that as an issue. I saw it as like a hazard. I would hope that they had a pamphlet in there to basically talk about how the smudge stick is going to burn. That was a major concern of mine. But lastly, my personal issue is that if this kit had taken off, if it was something that was going to be made, it would become a trend. Witchcraft, when I was in high school, was already a trend. So was being, gay and bi, actually. And the thing is as a lesbian and as a witch, these things being trendy actually caused a lot of room for ridicule. Actual witches were being told that they were posers. Same as actual like lesbians were being told that they were just posers. The cool kids that basically rode on top of this trend would ridicule others, and it didn't really leave a lot of room for debate. So, even back then, actual witches were being told that they were lame and stupid and that they didn't know anything, and that if they didn't do these rituals, they were just stupid, And for a baby witch, everybody was like, oh, this could help a baby witch find their path, find their calling. Well, not if it becomes a trend. It would just open the path to bullying, to ridicule, to kind of a status thing, and that's not what witchcraft's about. That's not the main purpose behind it, which is something that I was actually concerned about because I've seen it become a trend before. And naturally, you gotta remember that this is a major corporation that's selling it. This is a major business. And the problem with that is that everybody's like, oh, it's making witchcraft more accessible. But really it's not. Not for the price tag of $42. I was able to buy a complete book of witchcraft for $25. And it taught me so many things. It taught me the history of the craft. It taught me the beginnings of rituals. It gave me a supply list. You can buy rose quartz for $2, and not even that, and it depends on what size. Not only that, but it's taking away business from the smaller occult shops. It's actually taking away business from people that are educated in the matter of paganism, holistic medicines, just the occult in general. It's taking away from those business people. Because people know of Sephora, and Sephora is something more accessible. It's in every mall, it's in every city. Whereas an occult shop might be this little shack that's between one major town to the next. So it would take away legitimate business from these independently run shops. And again, it's a question of the quality of the supplies, and whether or not people are educated on how to use these supplies. So there were just problems all around. For those saying that it would help people find their path, I really don't think it would. I think all it would cause is frustration as people tried these beauty rituals and found that they didn't work. And also, it's kind of a mockery to those that have actually been practicing for so long, It basically would have become a trend, and it would have become an aesthetic. And much as people wanted to see the positive in it, in normalizing witchcraft, and helping others find their path sooner, for a price tag of $42, I don't really think it would have done that. And having seen witchcraft go through that trend before, and having been a part of that, I also don't see that, those good things happening as well. So I am glad that the project shut down. But that's my 2 cents on this whole Sephora deal. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about the Sephora issue down in the comment section down below. Did you think it was a good idea? And if you did, tell me why. And also, did you think it was a bad idea? And if so, tell me why. Naturally, these are just my opinions. This is just what I think. I know that there's going to be people that are upset that it didn't take off, but me personally, I'm glad to see it gone. So, of course, you're free to let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I guess I will see you all in the next video. Blessed be everyone.